The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Listen, let me just let you know, too, a lot of people refer to me as the Oprah of podcasting. So, you know, I'm starting to now find out things about you. Now I'm starting to get into your head a little bit to really understand who you are. Now, you had to be one of these kids growing up where you were the kid that they dared to do something and there wasn't anything you wouldn't do. Were you that kid?
Yeah.
That
Pretty
kid.
much. For the most part, yeah.
So you kind of do this, you know, just for the heck of it. You know, you start going to parties dressed as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You kind of had fun. You're being unique. Now let me ask you this, Leva. I would think, whereas like the regular person would say, "Oh my God, that's ballsy. I never in a million years would do that." But on the other side, here's
Really?
how. Well, I think a lot of people would be inhibited. They would be afraid to do that. But here's what I'm getting from you. You're an entertainer. You love to be noticed. You love the attention. You love to stand out. Is that true?
That's true. My mom always tells the story. When I was potty training, I used to have an audience. I wouldn't go unless they would clap for me. Like, I wouldn't go on the potty unless I had an audience and they had to clap for me.
Well, hey, listen.
We knew we were in trouble.
Listen, at least you weren't asking them for money, right?
No, I did used to talk a lot, and they would be like, "Hey, Levi, I'll give you $0.25 if you stop talking for a minute." So I would do that, and that would be like the longest minute of my life. So then I started upping my price. It was like 50 cents, then $1 if you wanted me to stop talking.
Now, Leva, here's a question I have because I Wikipedia'd you. I got as much info as I could. So obviously, I went to the images and I saw like a lot of the costumes that you wore. I think that's so super cool. I think it would be cool to use in wrestling, but to be able to do it all the time would be difficult. But here's my question. Do you make those costumes? Do you buy those costumes? Do you rent those costumes? Because I would think if this is a hobby, this could be quite an expensive hobby.
It is. It's a combination of making the outfit from scratch, piecing it together, like you go to Goodwill, piece it together, alter certain clothes. Like, I'll get like a button-up shirt and then alter it to make it fit right or make it look a little bit more, whatever I'm trying to do, that type of thing. So I alter stuff. And then I do buy some, depending on my time. There's a lot of times, like, especially now that my schedule is picked up so crazy, I don't have time to sit in front of my sewing machine anymore. So so a lot of times I'll buy stuff. Mostly now it's like piece it together, alter it. There's a few things I've made from scratch recently, but not much. And then I'll buy stuff sometimes. Or I'll buy a shirt and cut it up, you know, or I'll buy like the hat to go with this, you know. Like for my Wu-Tang, I went to Hot Topic and Sam Goodies. And then I cut up the shirt and then I already had the shorts, you know. So and then got a do-rag. You know, like, it was a really simple costume, but it worked perfectly for what we were doing. So it depends. Some costumes are super complicated. All of my Guardians of the Galaxy I made from hand scratch. That took a lot of effort. It took me like a month, and that was all to get ready for Shimmer, you know, and I did all 4 at Shimmer, you know. So it was crazy. But, you know, it was also rewarding because it was like, I made that, you know, like my Rocket Raccoon I loved. Like that was actually, I was very proud of that one.
Leva, let me ask you this. If they said to you, okay, Leva, from now till the end of time, you can only be one character. There's only one character you could be. You got to always be this character 24/7. Who would that character be?
Oh my God. I don't know. That's like telling me I can only have one kid.
That's an Oprah question. That's you know.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't think I can answer that because that's my thing. I get bored easily. Like I don't know if I have ADD or not. I probably do. So I like doing that's why I love what I'm doing right now. I can go and do blue pants and then I turn around and like I can do the really dark, creepy stuff at Shine, which is a lot of fun for me right now because it's so different. But then I'll turn around and do like the silliest, most comedy match, like as a Wu-Tang Clan, you know, person and with ODB. So I love the variety that this has given me, and I don't know if I can just choose one. I mean, if I had to be Blue Pants forever, I guess it'd be okay, because I mean, Blue Pants is fun. She's happy. She's
Yeah.
like the every fan, you know. But I don't know. It'd be hard. It'd be really. I still would find ways to express myself outside of wrestling. Then.
Leva, let me ask you this question, because you made a comment that and you know, it's funny. I was going to ask you about this anyway. You said it's like I could only have one kid. You're not married, right?
No.
Do you have a steady boyfriend?
No.
let me tell you why I'm asking you that. I'm asking you that because you listen. I mean this when I say this. Your kids, I think, like, are going to be the luckiest kids in the world. I mean, to have a mom this cool and this fun, I think is going to be unbelievable for these kids. So, like, I'm sitting here, I'm saying this woman needs to have some kids.
I've already decided I'm not gonna have kids.
So you're not gonna have any kids with all this love of what you do?
I don't know if I have time. Like, I've kind of created this life, and I've created this life, and I don't know if kids really fit in it really more. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a lot older than I look, so the longer you wait,
I know how old you are. You're not old. Stop.
Well, anyway.
Right. No, I just think. I mean, can you imagine like dressing them up for Halloween? I mean, these kids would be.
I have nieces, so
right.
I'm the crazy aunt. So over Thanksgiving, I was that crazy aunt trying to get them to do silly stuff. I embarrassed them a lot. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I stood up in the middle of Denny's and asked where my fallopian tube was. And they're like, oh my God. Well, all right, come to find out, one of my nieces asked her band director, because she confused the word uvula with fallopian tube for some reason.
Nice.
And he's like, that's not what you think it is. It's uvula. And she's like, oh, what's a fallopian tube? He's like, you'll learn about that in another class.
So now, aside from the wrestlers, the stump people, and the dances, you've got heat with band teachers.
I got heat with my nieces.
And your niece. Oh, we're piling up the heat here on old Blue Pants. Leva, let me ask you this. Here's what I want to ask you. Listen, I've been around wrestling for a very, very, very long time. And one of my criticisms of wrestling, being in the business and now doing this from the outside, one of my biggest criticisms is wrestling it takes itself way, way, way too seriously. You know, at the end of the day, these are two guys or two women, whatever. They're putting together a fake fun fight, and at the end of the day, it becomes way too serious. You have one of the greatest personalities really I've ever met, and I've worked with a ton of people, and this smile on your face and the things you love to do, it's tremendous. But do you run into that like serious side of the business a lot? And like, if you do, because of who you are, how do you handle that?
I mean, yeah, I get a lot of that, especially when I first started out, and like even years into it, people were not taking me seriously because of the costumes. They're like, oh, she can't be a serious wrestler because she wears costumes. And I'm like, whatever, you know, I am who I am. You guys will catch on eventually, you know. And I never really fought it. I'm like, honestly, I just ignore it. I ignore a lot of the heat and the seriousness. Like even that, like the people are like, gotta be serious, gotta be a serious wrestler, this is serious. I'm like, don't get me wrong, like there's times I do go in there and I'm angry and aggressive and serious, but that's like also kind of fun for me because I'm also really goofy and silly and ridiculous. So it's nice to do that flip side because I'm a performer, that's what I like to do.
You're a performer, yeah. See, because Leva, it's so funny, like having this conversation with you. Listen.
Oh man, the blue pants, the serious people in the blue pants is hilarious.
It cracks me up. But this is what I'm sitting here saying to myself, because to me, I think the problem with wrestling and a lot of it, or like I think people are too close to it and like they can't see what is so obvious to them. when I sit here and I'm like thinking of, okay, what character hasn't been done to death? What character haven't we seen a million times before? And now you have a legitimate performer, with a background in theater, a legitimate performer who's into this cosplay. There's never been any character like that ever before. I know cosplay is cool, it's hip, it would draw you a whole other audience. To me, that's exactly where I go.
Yeah, some people still don't get it. Like, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand it, and I don't want to say it's a generational thing, but it partially is. Like, I meet a lot of people, like the younger workers and younger promoters that get it. Some people just aren't into geek culture either. Like, I'm the biggest geek, and that's kind of where cosplay is based from. Like, it's like for the Comic Cons and for like the parties and like the crazy like video games and comic books and TV shows and movies and everything pop culture. And some people just aren't into that, and which blows my mind. I don't understand how you cannot be into that, but there are some people not into that, and they don't get it. And so if you don't get it, you don't understand why she's changing up her personality every time she does this. They don't get it.
Leva, let me ask you this. You categorize yourself as a geek.
I am.
What do you mean by that, though? Explain to me, what do you mean by you being a geek?
All right, well, a geek is someone who's into like a certain like section of pop culture. For me, I'm an overall geek. I love gaming. I love tabletop gaming, video gaming. I love comic books. I love sci-fi. I love fantasy. I love everything. Like, I can't think of a geeky thing that I don't love. So I would classify myself as a huge geek. Now, there's also nerd and dweeb. Nerds are more like the smart intellectual type. Like, I'm a big math person, and I'm a nerd, like a math nerd or a science nerd. And then you have the dweebs who are just like the imbeciles, like kind of the awkwardness. But geeks are more like, I'm really into this. Like, there's a line from a play I was in once, and it said, we're all geeky over something. Some people are geeky over basketball, some people are geeky over football, some people are geeky over comic books. And that's kind of the thing. Like, we're all geeky over something. You may not realize you're a geek for something. I guess you can equate it to mark. I hate the term mark, though. I hate it. Why is it so hard to call yourself a fan or call them fans? I don't know. There's a few terms I hate, but I've already had this conversation.
Well, but Leva, let me interrupt you there for a second, because I hear what you say. But Leva, I got to tell you this. I think there's a big difference between a fan and a mark. And I think a mark, when you say mark, I think it's somebody that takes it way too seriously than just being a fan. I think almost with mark comes an obsession where you're a fan. I really love this performer. I love this individual. I'm going to support them. But it doesn't become like, oh, I'm really going to hate somebody if they're not a fan of Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's what a mark is. Like, if you don't agree with them, all of a sudden there's all kinds of problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, taking yourself too seriously.
Yes, exactly. Now let me ask you this, Leva. I like to call people Nimrods. Where would that fit into your vocabulary of everything you just...
Maybe
Nimrod.
like the left-wing dweeb. Maybe.
Leva, I'm thinking here now, when you're home alone, okay, when you're not working, you're not at Universal, like, do you have to hire a babysitter to watch you? I would just think you probably get into a lot of mischief and a lot of trouble when you're at home by yourself. And nobody ever asked you that question before, right? Very good question.
The first time that someone said, all right, someone needs to watch her, so that wouldn't be the first time. The first time I ever went to England, I was 15, and I was so excited about it. And like, I would talk to everybody, and sometimes forget my group and left, and I'd be talking to the person on the tube or whatever. And they'd be like, oh God, where'd Leva go? All right, we're going to assign someone with Leva at all times so we don't lose her. Like, that was the type of thing. So yeah, sometimes I have people helping take care of me because I'm a hot mess.
Leva, I gotta ask. Listen, I gotta ask you this. I have to ask you this because listen, I do this podcasting. This is what I do now. I do everything on video. But Leva, I know there are a lot of people out there that have become, celebrities and make a ton of money, doing podcasts. You seem to be that person that should tell me.
I don't have a podcast, but I have my own YouTube show. It's called the Geek Soapbox. Me and my partner, we go off on all sorts of geeky stuff. We will film ourselves playing games. We'll talk about like popular comic book movies, TV shows, answer fan questions. I even did a MTV Cribs style episode of my place, so everyone can see how much of a true geek I am. So
how often do you do that?
We've been doing every other week. I got really, really busy, and so did my partner. So we're a couple weeks behind, but we're actually filming tomorrow. So we should have a new episode Saturday. We release them on Saturdays. So I'll do the Geek Soapbox on one Saturday, and the next Saturday it'll be like, because he has his the guy who does it, he does all the post production and does his own other show. I'll do his show or like whatever video the next week, and then the week after that will be another Geek Soapbox. So that gives us time to film, for him to edit, and all that stuff. So, because sometimes I won't be home. Like there was last week, I was only home for like a day and a half, and then I had to leave again. So there's no time to film. Plus, he was home. Sorry. The one day I was home, he was in rehearsal, so there was just no time to film.
Do you tie in the cosplay to this show?
Absolutely.
Oh, I gotta watch. See, now I want to watch that show.
Yeah. We go to comic book conventions. I think I went to 2 or 3. I think I've even cosplayed a couple times on the show. We did an Arrow episode. I don't know if you know the TV show Arrow.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And we did an opening sequence where it's like I'm dressed up as Arrow and I'm standing on the roof, and he's like, "Leva?" And then he had my voice all disguised, and then all of a sudden I break the skies once he recognizes me. So it was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then all of a sudden, like, "Hey, how'd you know?" It was really funny. But I'm in my Arrow costume. I think we did a Back to the Future episode, and I'm in my Marty McFly costume. So,
Leva, let me ask you this: you're so multi-talented, but listen. I first of all, I can't even believe you're sitting still to do this interview with me. Second of all, I get the impression that you do so many different things. You're a mile a minute, nonstop, all over the place. Okay,
that's why I forgot.
That's why you blew me off earlier. But let me ask you this, Leva: is there like? Is there an end game for you? Is there, you know what? I'm young now. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to enjoy all this. I'm going to be a runaway train. But is there like something that, you know what? When all is said and done, this is what the main thing I want to be concentrating on.
This is it. Like I want to, again, like I said, I wanted to be a self-sustaining performer, and I'm doing that right now. Between Universal and wrestling, I'm making a living. I don't have to work anywhere else. I used to work at a comic book store. I used to work as a waitress, and I don't have to do that anymore. So that's kind of a goal accomplished. I mean, there's always more goals you can achieve. I love to break more into TV and film eventually. That was always like, I'm a huge film geek. And I just would love to one day to even that, maybe if not even act in it, just be a part of it somehow. Or maybe take the Geek Soapbox and have it on a bigger platform or something along that lines. Like there's always, I feel like there's so many different avenues in entertainment that there won't ever be a time for me to be bored. Because then I'm like, ooh, I want to try this. Ooh, I want to try this. Even with like wrestling, I always wanted to do movies. So now all my promos, especially for all the Shine promos I do, are all mini movies. I do mini movies now.
That's great.
I don't stand in front of a thing going, "Hey, come and see me Friday night for Shine Wrestling." Not even more. Like I'll be like, it's like I have a music playing, and it's like, oh, is she an assassin? Is she gonna kill this girl? What's going on? And it's like, Nancy Sinatra's "Bang Bang" in the background, and I don't say a word, but you see, like I pull out a letter, and it's like, oh, okay, I have a hit, and then it's like, oh, it's Amber O'Neil. Okay, cool, and you see me like polishing my gun, and it's like a couple artistic shots of me getting ready to go and another job, and they go off. all why that song plays in the background, like little mini movies. I love that stuff. So,
but you know, Leva, let me ask you this though, because this is what I'm a little concerned about. I love this stuff that you do, and I love you so unique, and you are a performer through and through. Your personality is unbelievable to me. But me sitting here, this is what's going through my mind now. That's why I ask these questions. Injuries a big part of wrestling. You know, I mean, people get hurt in wrestling all the time. Is that a concern of yours with all these other things that you do?
It is, because, I mean, if I break a bone,
that's what I'm saying.
I use it to dance. I use it to do stunts. I use it to do a lot of things. So, yeah, no, it's very much. I try to protect myself as much as possible. I mean, I did break my nose in July in a match, and it was my own fault, but because it was a tournament. I went to go look like I was killing her, and my gravity went boop. And I'm like, oh, that hurt. And I didn't realize it was broken until a week later, and I finally went to the doctor, like, yeah, it's been broken. I'm like, oops. I've been doing stunt shows and dance shows on top of it. It's all crooked, but it's okay. But I mean, as long as I've had injuries, I just kind of work on them. I know that's terrible.
Do you have an agent?
I don't. I need one. I think I have a couple people. They're not like official agents, but I have people that help me get bookings for like wrestling, and then I do have they've kind of backed up. I have a couple like small time agents that help me get like extra work in TV shows, because I've done some extra work and some small role stuff.
Yeah, but why don't you, with your background and your resume, how do you not have a full-fledged agent?
You know why? Because I don't have time to hit all these auditions, because a lot of times I'm working full-time, and then I literally go and fly somewhere or drive somewhere, and so
Leva, let me tell you, Leva, when I hear something that's nonsense, this is what I usually do. I have to do. I usually bang my head against the microphone like this. Listen to me. Look at me. Are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
You have big time star written all over you with this great bubbly personality and all these things that you do. You need to get an agent.
Okay. I've been wanting to. Like I went. All right, so earlier this year, I went and started doing workshops with like a local acting school here, doing like the business of acting and a few other workshops, and it was really informative, and like I learned a lot, and I was loving it. It was like, yeah, I'm really gonna get out there, but get myself this agent, and like even the school does send me some stuff. Hey, there's some, if you have time to audition for this, I need more of me. I literally have no time.
Yeah, but you gotta strike when the iron's hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you now? Is your family still in Kentucky?
Yes.
So you're all out there by yourself? You must have a ton of friends though, with your personality.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Did you go home for Thanksgiving?
I did, actually.
Do you miss Kentucky compared to Florida, where you are now?
When I lived in Kentucky, I always wanted to live in a big, busy, bustling place because I was so bored.
Yeah.
Especially this is before like the iPhone. It can go on Twitter and spend like hours on like, oh shoot, I've been on Twitter and social media for like the last 2 hours. I didn't realize it. This is way before then. So you're like, all right, well I guess I'm gonna play video games and watch TV, and all right, hey, we go play outside. Do people play outside anymore? I don't think so.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
But I went home, and the fact that there was like no traffic anywhere, and it was during the middle of the day, and I was like, wow, I forgot how nice this was, because I'm so used to road rage every day here in Orlando. So I'm like, look at that, not a soul on the road. And then like when their Walmart is busy, this is busy. So it's nice because it's such a small town. But I mean, I don't think I could live there. It's nice to visit. It's nice to see.
Now, Leva, have you ever thought about like going to LA and going to Hollywood and being out there and giving it a shot? Have you ever thought that, or you're just so busy you never think about that?
I've thought about it, especially before wrestling really, really took off. when I was still like, wrestling once in a while, but not really. I thought about it, but it was like, I'll be honest, I just don't think I'm that model hot enough to be in LA. Like, they had a very, like, distinct look for these women, and I'm very, like, I've always been like the oddball girl. Like, I may have like a quirky, I may have a cuteness to me, but I've never been like that, like, oh, look at that, like, look at that, padow, 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 you know, like, I'm just not, I'm like childlike,
Leva,
you know, so.
Leva, can I ask you a question? Can we get serious here for a second?
Okay.
You know what that sounds like to me?
What?
That sounds like you're making an excuse.
No, I'm
Because
just saying.
there are hundreds of girls like that in Hollywood that are entertainers, that are funny, that Mindy Kaling comes to mind. You know who I'm talking about? There are hundreds of girls like that. I think that's you talking yourself out of it. How about that?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty cool. Like, with all the stuff I do, I don't say I'm comfortable, but I mean, I'm able to go and travel around the world now and still come back and have a job waiting for me and be able to pay rent and pay my car payment and pay all my credit cards and not be in debt. You know, like, it's nice to have that. I'm afraid if I go to LA, the cost of living is even more higher than Orlando does.
Yeah, but you know what, Leva? You got to look at big picture. I understand exactly what you're saying. I get that. And Leva, let's face it, a lot of people can't make a living in wrestling. You're blessed that you're able to do that, and that's great. I'm just looking at big picture because I think you come across as just unbelievably talented. Unbelievably talented. Where I feel like you're looking at the here and now, but the possibilities could be beyond your wildest imagination.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I guess I'm very self-deprecating. So that's actually Jess and Andrea were saying that last night. Like, stop being so self-deprecating. Know your worth. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just me. I'm not.
But you see, here's what you. When you say I'm just me, here's what you are. You're unique. You're different. You stand out. People like that have a star quality that stand out from the crowd. That's what you have. This is the first time I met you. I've never told anybody to quit their day job and move to LA. You're the first person I'm telling, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a definite compliment. Thank you.
Hey, Leva, listen, I know you got to go back to work. You spent an hour with me. This has been phenomenal. You know, would you ever consider, would you ever come on the show again, as a character?
Like
your cosplay gimmick.
Oh, cosplay, yeah.
I would love to see that. I would be so thoroughly entertained by that. I have to let you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But listen,
it'd be really awkward if I ended up choosing Charlie Chaplin because he.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a lot to say to each other. Yeah.
It could be entertaining. I'd probably find a way to entertain you though.
Leva, listen, you got to promise me one thing though before you go. Please promise me this. You know, I put a good 20, 25 years in the wrestling business. Okay. You please never allow this wrestling business to ever take that smile off your face. Please. If you ever feel like that's happening, you can't, you got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, this personality you have, and you're so special and bubbly, and I know sometimes how that can get. Don't ever become that. Always stay you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now listen, Leva, how can everybody follow you? Tell them about the YouTube show, Twitter. Tell us everything.
Okay. Well, the YouTube show is called The Geek Soapbox. It's on YouTube. If you can't find it under The Geek Soapbox, it's under my co-host YouTube. It's ML Ponton on YouTube. But it's just, if you type in The Geek Soapbox, you'll find it. There's also The Geek Soapbox on Twitter and Instagram, so you'll be able to find it that way. We'll post up links. And I tweet about it a lot, too. Speaking of Twitter, I'm Wrestling Leva, all one word, on Twitter. The all one word is not part of the name. Wrestling Leva on Twitter. I'm also Wrestling Leva on Instagram. I love Instagram because I'm a very visual person. If I have to read too much, I'm like, all right, what's that shiny? You know, so with Instagram, I'm like, hey, look, pictures. Look, my crazy costumes, my crazy life. So check me out there. I have a Facebook. It's Leva Bates, the official FB page. What else do I have? I have a website I haven't updated in forever because I don't have a computer anymore at my place. So I do have a website. It's levabates.com. I don't think I've updated since February.
Can you get somebody to do that for you?
Yeah, I've talked to people about it, but then nothing ever comes about it. Like, all right, cool, let's talk about it, and then nothing happens. So I'm like,
because you need that. You need that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You definitely need that.
yeah. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I want to keep you guys in the loop. I'm pretty good about that. Like, I tweet probably way too much. And normally stupid stuff.
Well, I love your tweets. Like I said, I just went through your feed and I was able to find out a lot about you.
Yay. Thank you.
Well, listen, Leva, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm really glad that we got to meet. You have a tremendous personality. I hope you'll join us here again to keep us abreast
Absolutely.
on everything that's going on in your career. Listen, don't sign off yet because I'm going to sign off, but then I just personally want to thank you, all right?
Oh, okay.
So thanks for joining us. There you have it, everybody. Leva Bates, the great Blue Pants. We just learned everything about her. Follow her on Twitter. Follow her on YouTube. And I will see you right back here next week on Vixens Who Rule.
Critically acclaimed producers Kayfabe Commentaries bring you the most candid shoot interview ever with Sabu, nephew of the legendary Sheik.
Would your aunt be talking business
Of course.
with the Sheik?
Oh, yeah. And Carney. She can speak Carney better than me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Prepare to explore the darkest corners of the man behind Sabu.
I would have stopped pain pills entirely if I was out of pain. Because I've been a little too long at the dance myself.
You feel now you've been too long at the dance?
Breaking Kayfabe with Terry Sabu Brunk, now available on DVD and on demand at shootinterviews.com.